In the gentle stillness of La Mancha, between vineyards and vast golden fields, lies Andres Iniesta's estate, a place not created for applause, but for peace. Here, the man who once commanded Europe's largest stadiums exchanged the roar of the crowd for the quiet breathing of the land. Where spotlights once burned, there is now light without noise. This tranquility is not an end, but the result of a long journey. To understand it, we must return to the beginning. Andres Iniesta was born in 1984 in the small town of Fuentealbilla, far from cameras, front pages, and big expectations. His world was quiet, shaped by family and simple days. Football was initially not a dream of fame, but a game he played with natural serenity. At just 12 years old, he played for Albacete Balompié at a youth tournament when something unusual caught attention. It wasn't speed or strength that made him special, but calmness, a glance, a decision at the right moment. This quiet clarity did not escape the scouts of FC Barcelona. Soon, a decision loomed that could hardly be bigger for a child. The parents, accompanied by a family connection to youth coach Enrique Oriola, finally agreed to send their son to La Masia. The farewell was quiet, without many words. A boy left his home to pursue something he himself could barely name. In Barcelona, everything developed quickly. At 15, Iniesta led the club's U15 team to victory in the 1999 Nike Premier Cup, scoring the decisive goal in the final seconds. It was a moment that wasn't loud, but revealed a lot. About a player who didn't seek pressure, but mastered it. But how much inner strength does it take to be alone at that age and still remain calm? At the end of 2002, Iniesta first stepped onto the stage of FC Barcelona's professional team. Without much fanfare, he integrated into a generation that would redefine modern football. His true assertiveness showed in the 2004-2005 season. He started almost every league game as Barcelona won the championship title. No spectacle, no headlines, just reliability. That's exactly where his significance began to grow. In the following years, his influence became increasingly clear. In 2006, Barcelona won the championship and the Champions League. In 2009, the historic peak followed with the first treble of League, Cup, and Champions League under Pep Guardiola. Iniesta was not a leader through words. He led through decisions, through calm in chaos, through passes that created order. Even serious injuries in 2010 couldn't stop him. He returned, more stable, clearer, more determined. In 2015, Barcelona repeated the treble. History made a second time, again with Iniesta at its heart. When he left the club in 2018, 22 years were behind him. More than 650 official matches, the captain's armband, a farewell full of respect. Not a loud departure, but a quiet closing of a chapter marked by elegance, modesty, and extraordinary consistency. Why is it often the quiet figures who most strongly shape an era? After leaving Barcelona, Iniesta's path led not to a European rival, but far to the east, Japan. The move to Vissel Kobe seemed surprising, almost inconspicuous to many. But that was precisely its logic. It wasn't a step into the shadows, but a conscious decision for football itself, away from expectations and constant noise. In August 2018, he scored his first goal in the J-League. Shortly thereafter, titles followed. The Emperor's Cup, the Japanese Super Cup. Not as a star, but as a benchmark. His presence profoundly changed the club. Vissel Kobe gained international significance, and Iniesta stayed longer than expected. He extended his contract until 2023, playing with the same clarity and calm that once characterized Europe's biggest stages. As this chapter closed, he didn't seek a grand farewell. Instead, a final sporting path opened up. The United Arab Emirates, Emirates Club, football once more, movement once more, this time without the burden of proof. It was not a new beginning out of ambition, but out of joy. A last stage, quiet and consistent, entirely in his style. If fame no longer matters, what remains of the game? For Spain, Andrés Iniesta became much more than an exceptional player. He became the quiet center of a golden generation. European champion 2008, European champion 2012. But nothing weighed heavier than the summer of 2010. In Johannesburg, in the World Cup final, an entire country was tense. Minutes passed, strengths waned, noise and expectation hung heavy in the air. Then, in extra time, the inevitable happened. Iniesta scored. Not a storm of celebration at first, but a collective pause. This goal was more than a score. It was order in chaos, calm in the decisive moment. Spain became world champions for the first time, and Iniesta became a symbol of a nation that, in that moment, had learned to believe quietly. He never sought the spotlight, yet that's exactly where he stood when it counted. Not loud, not dominant, but precise. A single moment that condensed an entire career. Can a single moment truly explain who a person is? Back in Fuente Albila, far from stadiums and schedules, another chapter begins in the life of Andrés Iniesta. In the heart of the La Manchuela region, his finca stretches over approximately 300 hectares of vineyards and open land, a place without haste. In 2010, Iniesta invested about $10 million to transform the family estate into a functioning bodega. Not a prestige project, but a long-term vision. The path there is quiet, lined with olive trees and bright stone walls. At the end stands a low, simple terracotta building, open to the sky, unobtrusive in its form. Inside, there is a cool, clear atmosphere. The entrance area is both a sales room and a gallery. Bottles rest on oak barrels. Jerseys and trophies silently recall another time. Nothing seems staged. Everything feels lived. In the production rooms, stainless steel tanks line up. Behind them, wooden barrels with handwritten dates are stored. Over 1 million bottles leave this place annually, on their way to Japan, England, or Mexico. The scent of wood and grapes hangs in the air. Outside, the colors of the vineyards change with the seasons. And every day, his father, Jose Antonio, walks through the rows, inspects the soil, talks to the workers. The bodega is not just a business, it is a rhythm. Slow, steady, honest. Is this perhaps the form of success that lasts the longest? Even beyond football, Andrés Iniesta's decisions reflect the same attitude. His cars were never symbols of prestige, but everyday companions. In Barcelona, he long drove an Audi Q7, bought after a contract extension, practical and inconspicuous for a young family. Later in Japan, the BMW XM was added, a hybrid with great performance that still remains quiet. Power without noise. He liked exactly this balance. As a farewell gift before leaving FC Barcelona in 2017, he bought himself an Audi SQ7. A night drive along the empty coastal roads of Castelldefels, the sea on the left, the engine muffled, almost respectful. These vehicles were never for self-promotion. They were a means to an end, like much else in his life. This attitude also shaped his wealth. Iniesta is one of football's quiet millionaires. His estimated fortune of around $120 million was not created by excesses, but by consistency. The move to Japan brought him $30 million per year and opened doors to partnerships with Rakuten and Asics. Barcelona had previously made him one of the club's highest-paid players, including an extraordinary lifetime contract. But money was never his motivation. It was the result of patience, precision, and loyalty. If wealth is only a consequence, how does one measure a successful life? What distinguished Andrés Iniesta away from the spotlight was particularly evident in his approach to responsibility. In 2011, he quietly helped Albacete Balompié, the club of his beginnings, when it was fighting for survival. He invested around $450,000 and became the largest shareholder. 2 years later, in another financial crisis, He provided further funds so that players and employees received their salaries. It was never about ownership or influence, but about gratitude. This attitude remained unchanged in Japan. After a severe earthquake, he participated in relief efforts alongside Lucas Podolsky. The amount was never disclosed. The gesture was important. In 2017, he also took on the role of an ambassador for Save the Children Spain. He not only lent his name, but spoke with children, listened, and conveyed values such as respect and empathy, lessons he himself had learned early on. Today, Iniesta lives at a calmer pace. His life revolves around his wife, Ana Ortiz, and their 5 children. Days begin without haste, with breakfast and conversations, school, family time, simple routines. Whether in Spain, Japan, or the Emirates, one thing remained constant: family comes first. In the quiet of everyday life, he found a balance that victories alone could never provide. Is it this calm, in the end, that gives meaning to it all?